Well, Picard and crew are still cruising along, and of course they get another mission. They gotta go visit with this planet that looks to be interested in joining the Federation. So they decide to go in, kick the tires, look around, see how things are going. It looks pretty sweet. Everything's really great. But, well, there's a prison break, and they're like, man, one of our fugitives escaped and killed some guards and stuff off of this prison we have on one of our moons. So Picard's like, gee, that's terrible. Let's see if we can offer some assistance here. And so there's this little ship cruising around, so they pursue it. And there's something odd about it. They can't pick up the life signs. Oh, man, did he get away? What is it? And the ship kind of outmaneuvers them a little bit. But then eventually they manage to get the drop on him, and I forget exactly how they locked onto him. But anyway, they beamed him aboard the Enterprise, and he tries to fight his way, and he's pretty strong and fast and stuff like that. But they're able to, subdue him, with a phaser and all that sort of stuff. And then Counselor Troy decides to have a little chit-chat with him and immediately feels sorry for him. Because basically the deal is that he's a veteran of this terrible war that was waged on this planet. And it was brutal and stuff, but it finally came to an end. And they got peace, and now they almost have a utopian society, and all that sort of stuff. But on this moon is a lot of the veterans of that war. And it turns out, in order for them to become the perfect super soldiers, they had to go through some genetic enhancements and some psychological conditioning to make them into the perfect killers. Well, the problem is they're still perfect killers. And so they can't help themselves the slightest sense of aggression, and they'll take you out. And such is the case with this guy. And it leaves it to that, hey, look, we look for a way to undo the conditioning, and it kind of hemmed and hawed and said, yeah, we really can't do it. So we just decided to, exile them to this moon. And look, we gave them all the comforts of home. They got free Wi-Fi, they're free streaming. They don't have to worry and pay for their movies and stuff. And the best food, just great. There's even a swimming pool, I think, all that type of stuff. But the fact that they're stuck and can't go home really pisses them off. So this guy breaks out and murders some guards. So they're a little upset about that, But then the Federation, Federation, yeah, Picard and crew, they get the story, and they're like, well, this sounds terrible. It's kind of unfair. I mean, he fought for you, and now you just throw him away, And they're like, well, yeah, but now he's psychotic because you made him that way. Well, sure. The Enterprise decides, well, we're just going to leave you to it. So the guys, they break out. He's able to outfox the Enterprise because there's a big chase. Worf tries to get them. He tumbles a bunch of crates and stuff on Worf that would insinuate that they're really heavy and stuff, but Worf gets back up, dusts himself. But anyway, he's able to escape, and he gets his buddies from the moon, and then they take off and capture the leaders on the planet below. Picard and crew show up, and Picard says, well, you'll just have to figure this out yourself. And he beams back to the Enterprise. Good luck with that. And they leave. They're like, hey, what? Hibbity. And I don't know, the slightest wrong word, and they probably end up massacring everybody in there. But it was left sort of insinuating that, well, if we tried really hard and spent the money, we might be able to reverse the process on them so that they could live on the planet, at home. And so maybe, it might be that these guys just end up killing them all and taking over. I don't know. This is one of those things they could revisit. Well, perhaps Perhaps I should have stayed. I helped out a little more. I don't know. But anyway, it's interesting, and it's kind of, a sci-fi lens metaphor for, post-traumatic stress disorder and that type of thing of soldiers coming home, and then there's not enough help for them and that kind of thing. This is rather extreme, and where they, really, I don't know. Well, they mutated them in a sense, but now that the war is over, we don't really have any use for you. Your skills are all about killing and stuff. Thanks. Hey, look, here's a gold watch. Is it really gold? No. So it's this sad set of circumstances, but still, I don't know. All the guys were armed, and the government guys, they had to put their weapons down. So, and Picard's like, well, good luck with that. So I said, hey, if you can solve that, maybe we'll welcome you back into the Federation. So it's one of those things where, it's a diplomatic mission to be sure, but based on what they saw, hey, you guys aren't as squeaky clean as we thought, But then who is, But anyway, that's how it panned out for the Hunted. Can you guess who the Hunted was? That's right, it was the guy who escaped from the prison. Now, they felt sorry for him and stuff, but he murdered those guards. Now, he felt bad about it too. So, I guess that makes up for it. I don't know. So then they had another diplomatic mission. Well, there's this planet, and their terrible, horrible war is still ongoing. It's like it was a civil war. And the Federation has sent the Enterprise over there to bring some much needed medical supplies and whatnot. And in the process, Dr. Crusher gets kidnapped by the rebels, separatists, terrorists, whatever. And turns out they don't have teleport, or I guess they do have teleport technology. They don't have transporter technology, but they've got this weird means by which they can warp space, and it basically creates a door, and they walk through it and grab you and go through. And this has aided them in their attacks on the authorities and whatnot. So you've got kind of sort of the main story is the leader of this group and Beverly. On the side, you've got Riker and the female leader of the police. And, I mean, nothing happens, but of course Riker zeroes in on the chick, So Beverly's immediately, taken in with all the injuries and stuff. So that's what gets her captured. She wanted to help the people. And but they specifically wanted the doctor because it turns out their warping technology, sure, it can get you in and out just anywhere, but it has a terrible effect on the body. And so there's all these people writhing in pain and dying because eventually your body begins to break down due to what the teleportation warping thing, whatever you want to call it, does to them. And so the leader is instructing her to try to help them, try to reverse it or whatever. She doesn't really have the material to do it with what they've got, and she's not even sure she can. And she said the best thing you can do is stop using it, and so that no more damage is done. And if you stop using it, whatever damage it's already done, well, maybe you could slow it and perhaps heal there. But if you keep using it, you're going to end up like all these people stuck in the beds, writhing in pain. Well, but they need it, to do their war and all that sort of stuff. So meanwhile, the leader, oh boy, he's checking out Beverly and drawing pictures of her and stuff. So he's already smitten with her and all this stuff. And eventually they're able to kidnap Captain Picard. So they use the warp thing and appear on the bridge, and he gets in a fight with the leader and he captures him. So now he's stuck with Beverly. And of course he's like, oh wow, this guy's got the hots for you, Beverly. You got to use that against him. Of course she feels sorry for him. It's almost sympathetic. And there's a saying about, Picard is telling her, he says, no, we got to get out of here. We're not making any deals or whatever. And he's mad at her because he told her to get out of there when she got captured in the first place. And she says, you're supposed to obey my orders, Beverly. I'm the captain. He says, well, I'll obey an order that I like. That's not how it works, Beverly. Now, another thing here is they almost have a moment where she says, I need to talk to you. And they tease, the potential for romance between Picard and Beverly. And they never sealed the deal throughout the show. They didn't do it in the movies, nothing, until Picard season 3, which, they turned Beverly into a heartless bitch, really. I didn't like how they did that. At least they didn't make Picard a deadbeat dad. They didn't do that because he didn't know. So, but that's not a good take on Beverly, I don't think, how they did that. But what are you gonna do? So anyway, ultimately they come up, the Enterprise and the local police or security, whatever, come up with a rescue plan. They're able to get in. They're able to track it using what the signs of that teleportation leads them to, and they're able to do an ambush and to get to Picard and Beverly. The leader is about to kill Picard. He comes in there, and Beverly's there as well. That's right. Beverly's sitting there with Picard, and he storms in there. But of course he can't kill Beverly. No. And then the police captain, she comes up behind him and shoots him in the back, killing him. And he dies with this hurt look on his face because Beverly could obviously see that the woman was behind him with the gun. But she said, yeah, I felt bad for him, but I wasn't as really into him as much as he was into me because, she's in love with Picard. So anyway, that's that. And Riker, probably would have, slammed that police captain, but he was like, hey, you didn't have to kill him. And she's like, oh yeah, Dad, he's dangerous and all that. And look, she's got a point. And this is one of the things that's the way things were handled in Star Trek when it was really Star Trek. Same thing with the original show when they're talking about obvious on-the-nose politics, especially Vietnam and stuff like that. Here, they're doing it, and they give both sides, and they've got compelling arguments, and you leave it open. That's how they did it. So Picard's kind of, not Picard, Riker's kind of like, yeah, I was going to bang you, but I don't know. You still could, but anyway, he's like, hey, you shot him in the back, though. Hey, look, he would have killed your captain and doctor, stupid. So, she has a point, too, Anyway, that's how that went. And, of course, you can draw on comparisons to real-world events and whatnot of terrorists or separatists, the IRA and stuff like that. And then the main state is, you're just going to believe everything they tell you, that kind of thing. But there's a lot of pain and misery on both sides of what they've done. And so that's displayed there. But ultimately, it looks like the authorities should be in charge here. And it's they're on the losing end here. They're killing themselves with their teleportation technology and that sort of thing. But ultimately, the guy was willing to put Beverly's, was going to get Will killed possibly because he was going to blow up the Enterprise. That's why they got on the ship. They set all these explosives on the warp core. And he's like, gee, that's too bad about your son. Screw you. So, oh boy, he's Robin Hood or whatever. No, but he drew pretty pictures of Beverly. Aw. Nah, he got what he deserved. So that's how that goes. In Star Trek, The Hunted and The High Ground. Did anyone get the high ground? Well, again, it's open to interpretation.